Welcome to Northrop on the Short Porch. I'm your Diamond Diva, Chris Northrop, and we're here to answer the burning question tonight as to whether it's going to be cha-cha-cha in Citi Field or whether it's going to be chaos. And here joining me this evening are the guys from NYMLB Talks, Chris and Rob. Hello, guys.
What's up?
Hey, everybody, and everyone in the chat. John, thank you for joining us. Jonathan, appreciate you. Hello. You probably know Chris, and I don't know if you know Rob. Rob is a long-suffering Mets fan. I'm sorry.
Aren't they all?
He's a diehard Mets fan. All right. But then I was a Cub fan also, so I'm that dual fan. So I know about long suffering. I really do. Welcome to the show, Rob. I'm so happy to have you with us today. Chris, you're back for a second or third time. I love having you with us. Chris is a diehard Yankees fan, and together they talk New York baseball with some great guests, including former players, reporters, just people of note in the business. Catch them live on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. They can tell you everywhere. Rob, tell me a little bit more about what you guys do, how you get these great guests, and etc.
Well, we just talk baseball. It's like guys at a bar and girls when we have, female guests too, at a bar or a club or out to dinner or whatever, talking baseball. That's it. It's a very comfortable show. That's why the guests love coming on our show, and they ask to come back. Yeah. I just, we don't know how this has happened. It's just exploded, right, Chris, into so many guests. And, it's former players. They're great. They always have great stories. They love telling their stories. We just ask a question and then we listen. Monday, we had former Met Chris Benson on. Great show. We've had a bunch of former players and, like you said, also authors of books. We even had Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the Munsters on.
That's right.
That was a great show.
I love Butch Patrick.
There you go.
Well, his stepdad played for the Yankees, actually. So that's how we worked it out. I contact these guys, and they're great. They're like, sure, we'll come on. We'd love to come on. And it just started with I think the first one we had on was former Mets pitcher and Cubs pitcher and GM Eddie Lynch came on, and then former Mets manager Mickey Callaway's been on a bunch of times.
Okay.
John D'Acquista, who pitched for the Padres and the Giants, have been on, and a whole bunch of players. And me and Chris just try to make them feel comfortable, and it's just talking baseball, right, Chris?
That's it. Yeah, just let we do this together. Like, we just let the guests talk, because that's who, we bring them on. We want to hear them talk, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. During, on the days or on the shows, I should say, that we don't have a guest, it's just me and Rob talking. So when we have a guest, let them talk. We ask a question and they give us these great stories, and we love to hear them, right? And I think it's awesome. And I think it's worked out pretty well. And listen, baseball in general is the greatest sport by itself, but it's also the greatest sport to just talk about. Like, you could talk all day about baseball, right? The history, current baseball, everything. We could, me and Rob could sit all day and talk baseball without a doubt. Other sports, I don't know if you could talk all day on football or basketball or tennis or something, right? Baseball, you can.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
There's nothing like the hot stove either,
Yeah.
And that cooks all winter. And I mean, I'm not bored from October to February when spring training starts. I keep busy all winter, with baseball stuff. So it is. Baseball is the greatest conversation in this country, practically.
Agreed.
that you can have between people just in general on a friendly basis, in a warm, sort of a warm, offhanded way. You can always bring baseball into it somehow. It seems like the common denominator. You guys, I thought I'd ask you about some Mets concerns. What's going on with Soto? I saw he was back in the lineup today at the DH, so apparently nothing there.
Nah, last night he hit his ankle, the front of his ankle actually, with a foul ball. So he was in pain last night, so he DH'd, but he's going to be fine.
Right.
The rest of the team, though, who's not
the rest of the time?
Who's not injured? Let's see: Lindor, Polanco, Senga, now Alvarez again. I'll tell you, that guy. I don't know if he's ever going to play a full season. He's another one who's always hurt. AJ Minter, one of the pitchers, he's been hurt.
Right.
Lewis Robert Jr. to be determined. So we don't know when that guy's coming back, but he's always injured anyway. When he was on the White Sox, injured, right?
He's made a career out of it.
Hey, you know what? Having Soto DH is not a bad thing, right?
Right.
That's what you want. You want his bat in the lineup. You necessarily don't really want his glove in the lineup. You want that bat in the lineup. So I think that's a good thing.
That's true.
I agree. So they're the walking wounded. But what this has done is it's given the kids a chance to play. They brought up AJ Ewing, and what excitement he brought to Citi Field. This kid got a standing ovation his first at bat. What rookie gets a standing O his first at bat? And his first hit as a Met was a triple. The kids looked great. It doesn't look like anything bothers him, which is great. So, that's something good that came out of what's going on. So right now it's like the youth movement is happening, and they brought a little energy to a team that was dead. A couple of days ago, this team was dead. They just swept Detroit Tigers. So we'll see what happens with the Subway Series.
Chris, what are you thinking the Subway Series is going to profile for the Mets?
For the Mets,
Mets thoughts.
For the Mets, I think they're coming in, hot, right? They just swept Detroit.
Are too.
Yeah, I mean they're playing pretty good at this point. So I think you gotta, I think you got to give them the edge coming into the series because of how bad the Yankees have looked. Right? They've lost 6 out of 8 games, losing 2 out of 3 against Baltimore, swept by Milwaukee. But the Mets, on the other hand, are the complete opposite, right? They're coming in off a sweep. Like Rob said, Ewing has added this. He's energized this team, I think, since he's been up in the couple of games he's been up. He's added that spark that I think the Mets needed. And we talked about it a little bit on our little pop-up show that this is what this team needed. Was it risky bringing a kid up that only had 12 at bats in AAA? Yeah, it was risky to do that, but you know what? It was the smart move, and it's paying off right now. Maybe it doesn't pay off later on, but right now it's paying off. And you know what? This was their only card really to play at this point, right? It's a little too early to make trades. Teams are still trying to figure out what they need, what they want, or whatever. So you're not going to see big trades yet, but you know what? They had to do something, and so far this has worked out great for them.
Yeah, I mean the Mets, it seems like had nothing. Nothing went right. Has gone right, except the pitching. For the most part. Hold on, I had some numbers I was pretty amazed actually at the disparity between what's going on the mound and what's going on in general with the Mets. But for some reason, my notes are here, there, and everywhere. But the Mets are leading in fifth, right? ERA or hold on.
Yeah, the pitching has been pretty good, and that's one of our listeners, our regulars, Armand, and he said that Soto most likely will DH this weekend. Yeah, that's what I think.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I think that's a good thing for the Mets. And I'm not making it as a joke, but his glove is not the greatest, right? So now you're gonna have a better glove out in left field, and you still got Soto's batting the lineup, and that's what you want. I mean, when Soto's in a lineup, he makes any lineup better. So no matter what the lineup is doing, you drop Soto in there, and he hasn't gotten really hot yet, right? I mean, he's still kind of,
yeah, exactly. That's why I asked the question. What has Soto's problem been the rest of the time?
He was injured, and he came back from that. He's starting to hit his bat start. He hit today, so his bat's starting to come around. I'm not like last year. Listen, he started off so slow, so bad, and by the end of the year, he was by the end of the season, he was a leader in a bunch of categories. So, and Chris said he's gonna. Last year we talked about it a lot because people were freaking out, and I think that last year's Subway Series, the first game at Yankee Stadium on that Friday night, when that crowd really gave it to Soto, I think that affected him for a while. I think that he was shocked that it was that bad, and I think that did affect him for a while, but he turned it around.
Yeah, he's a pro, but I mean, what is your take on Soto and the way he handles the New York media, the way he handles himself? He did not strike me as a Yankee, as a guy who wanted to be a Yankee. He seemed to think it was almost like he kind of turned his nose up at the tradition and he went, he could have been enshrined in Monument Park someday, and yet he goes across town to Citi Field. What do you think what is his ultimate?
Well, you know what? We figured he was going to go where the money was, the bigger contract. And it wasn't, the Yankees offered him a great contract. The Mets offered him, the extras, the box and luxury box for his family. I just think that's Soto. I think, he already won a World Series, right, with the Nationals. So it's not like he didn't win a World Series yet. I don't think he's one of those rah-rah guys in the clubhouse who's a clubhouse leader. I just think that's Soto, and that's his personality. And, people are like, he hates it there. But then you see him laughing with the guys, and he's having a good time. Today he had a good time. I saw him in the dugout a couple of times. He was laughing with them. That's just his personality, I think.
Right.
And I don't know if he didn't want to be a Yankee. I just think, like I said, he already won a World Series.
Right.
He went for the money, and who wouldn't? We would go for that money. If they're going to throw that at you, you're going for it.
But he didn't go for immortalization either. That's what he didn't buy that.
He doesn't care about that. Yeah, maybe he doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
I think he just went with like Rob said, he went with the best deal. Came down to that. If the Yankees offered him the best deal, he would have stayed with the Yankees, right? But the Mets went a little bit above and beyond what the Yankees offered, and they got him. Simple as that.
I've been to Monument Park, and it means something to be out there. And you last. Do you think that the name Soto is going to last after he's, after his playing years are over? Will there be any lasting memory of Juan Soto, Met?
Yeah,
you walk into there and there'd be like Derek Jeter when you walk into Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean?
I think wherever he plays, there would, if he continues to play the way he's playing for his whole career, it doesn't matter where he is, he'll be in the Hall of Fame, and yes, he will have a legacy. It's just that, like Chris said too, he's not that type of guy. And plus, Chris, what was the moment right after the World Series when he turned that Yankee cap around, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel, Chris, about that?
Like he meant business. He went from losing the World Series as a Yankee. He went like this, right? He was standing there. Then as he's talking to the press, he went like this, and he goes, everybody, he says, I'm going to talk to every team as a free agent, right? So that's how we knew. That's how we knew, right? And I think Soto, his legacy is going to be if he stays with the Mets. Now, if he doesn't opt out and they don't give him the extra money to stay and all that, if he ends up staying with the Mets for the full contract, right? What is it, 14 years? If he stays with them for all those 14 years and does what he's been doing his whole career, he's going to own every record in the Mets record book, right? And amazingly, if he wins a World Series with them in these 14 years, they're going to put a statue outside of this guy. Right. That's what kind of a legacy he's going to have.
Right.
So, we're talking about legacy. That's if he stays and everything goes perfect and all that. So we'll see. But I think he could have a legacy with the Mets if he stays the full time. Sure.
Right.
Yes.
I just wonder. I doubt that, but that's just me. I doubt that. I don't think he's the Mets version of Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge, remember, Aaron Judge is, homegrown. So, that's different. But think about it. Did the Giants offer him a little more money? If the Giants offered him a lot more money, say the contract like Soto got from the Mets, do you think that Judge is with the Yankees today, or do you think he's in San Francisco?
No, he was offered more money and more years to go.
But he wasn't offered a Soto-like contract, though. That's what I'm saying.
Was offered. I'll tell you this: he was offered more money and more years to go to the West Coast. Now that's when Steinbrenner called him up and said, "What will it take for you to stay here?" And he goes, "Give me a 9th year." And I guess they offered, maybe a little bit more, but they gave him the 9th year. But those guys were offering him 10 years.
Right.
So listen,
what if they offered him 14 years for, close to $800 million?
I'm sure he would have went, right?
Okay.
He didn't get anything like that from them. But that would have been almost doubling than what he got.
But that's the difference, right? He's homegrown Yankee. He's a Yankee captain. Totally
it meant
different.
Something to him.
Yes,
I think it meant something to him. You know what? These guys drafted me. I played every game as a Yankee. You know what? I want to finish my career as a Yankee.
And win a World Series with the Yankees, too.
And you know what? I want I want to be out in Monument Park with the rest of the great Yankees. I want to have that day. That meant to him. Soto, it really doesn't mean anything to him. No. And that's totally fine. That doesn't make him any less of a man or as a player. He just doesn't care.
It does not. But to me, it's something that says Mets, Yankees. The Judge, the attitudes that Judge and Soto have about these things, they to me are typify what are typical Mets and Yankees attitudes towards their organizations as players. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It depends on the player. I mean, there's Mets who, like Mike Piazza, he embraced the Mets after the first part of his first year with the Mets was a little shaky. Beltran too. I mean, Piazza went into the Hall of Fame with the Mets cap on. Beltran went into the Hall of Fame with the Mets cap on. So there have been players who have embraced the New York Mets. Keith Hernandez, do you think of him more as a Cardinal or a Met? Now as a Met.
Right.
So, players have embraced the Mets, definitely.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to disparage that. Sorry. I meant that in the way that the players embrace the history of their legacy with each club is different.
Yeah, I understand that. And like Chris would say, it's totally different now, though. I don't think, except for Judge or something, I don't think it's that important to a lot of players anymore.
Right.
Because they move around so much, right? They hug each other. Now, the opposing players used to get fined when they hugged each other and fraternized. So, it's just totally different now. Judge, it matters if he gets that monument, but there's other players who it just doesn't matter anymore.
Right, and I think that people in the chat, if you want to chime in, it's that monument out there that drives Judge to be the great captain and the great player that he is. But it doesn't drive a player, like Jazz maybe, or I mean, so I get it that it has the Yankee aura only has that effect when on certain anointed, maybe even players who live up to uh, some of the myths that have been generated by the past. I don't know if that's off the topic or not. I just wanted to start out with that little way of talking about how the Mets and the Yankees are not the same.
Well,
and
Chris, I'll say it this way:
Yankees
nobody is with the Yankees in that sense,
right?
You know, in with history and all that, right? Nobody's got the championships. Nobody's got
Well, the
the
Dodgers,
player,
but I don't think they have the sense of it like the
and they
other.
don't have the championships. They're not
That's
even
true.
close,
No,
No.
that's true.
right? I think St. Louis has the
Yeah.
second most,
The
right?
Cardinals are,
Yeah,
yes.
true.
And nobody has that list of just great players, in their, on their wall or in in their Monument Park, right? Nobody's got Ruth, Garrick, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio,
Yeah.
Yogi Berra. I mean, that's just, people like most teams have that, that Mount Rushmore, right? You can name the 4 greatest Mets or the 4 greatest Cardinals or the 4 greatest Dodgers. You can't do that with the Yankees, right? Because you could say, yeah, okay, Ruth and Garrick have to be on there. Mickey Mantle has to be on there. The 4th, I guess you want to put Joe DiMaggio. All right, put Joe DiMaggio. But you're leaving off Yogi Berra. You're leaving off a guy who won 10 championships and 3 MVPs as a player, right? So it's insane that you're leaving guys like Whitey Ford off, Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, Derek Jeter, those guys. So it's just amazing how with the Yankees, just they have that roll call of great players and all the championships and all that. I get it, they haven't, but we also haven't won in 17 years. Well, it'll be 17 years this year, right? So it's definitely getting too long for the Yankees. So something's got to change soon.
And some people might say they're having all the fun in Citi Field anyway, that's where all the fun fans are.
Well, at least for the last 3 days.
At least for the last 3 days.
Last week,
No.
the last homestand wasn't that much fun.
Hey, you guys at least have mascots.
Okay, let's get into this for a second. Okay, Mr. Met, Mrs. Met, that's cool. Been there forever, right? But I do not, and Chris knows what I'm going to start with right now. I cannot stand that the Mets have cheerleaders on the dugout, that the Mets have cheerleaders. I can't stand any of that. This is baseball. There are no cheerleaders in baseball. It's not football. That annoys me. It makes me go nuts. Chris is laughing. And then, okay, you have
it would bother me too if we had cheerleaders.
You have Mr. and Mrs. Met, okay? All right, that's fine. But now, all of a sudden, when the Mets win, they got to ride bicycles with a flag around Citi Field. I cannot stand that stuff. Really, it drives me crazy. And it drives me crazy. One other thing. When Lindor gets up and the Mets are losing and he's in a slump and all these idiots are singing My Girl. That drives me crazy. I want to throw a baseball through my screen.
I can imagine.
So there I go.
I don't know if you guys happened to see an article in Ball 9 today. Do you know Ball? You know Ball 9,
Yeah,
right?
no.
And
I didn't see it today.
Yeah, Kevin Kernan wrote it, and it was about a game he went to, I believe last night, where it was a quiet game. It was a natural game. There were no other noises other than the sound of baseball. And he was saying what a great thing that was, because when you go to the ballpark like this year, Yankee fans have done nothing but complain, and the announcers as well, I think, too, about the noise at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Which was requested by Judge, I guess, because he wants more buzz, more crowd noise, I don't think that's the way you create buzz.
No. I don't know.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the noise either in between each pitch.
No.
They got music going. It's too loud. It's just, I hate it. But you know what? The best way to look at it as, like we are all a certain age, right? We don't have to say exactly what our age is, but we are all a certain age, and that age group is not who baseball is, is for now. Baseball is for the younger generation, right? It's their game. This is not our game. So we could complain about the noise, we could complain about the cheerleaders, whoever, the fireworks, whatever it might be. It's not our game. Like, and MLB does not care if we don't like it or not, right? Like they're like, oh, okay, we only care if that 10-year-old sitting there is enjoying himself. If he's enjoying himself, then you know what? That's what we want. So that's how I look at it. That's why, we could complain, but I know it's going nowhere because our opinions mean nothing for that reason. We could talk about the game, and comment about it, and it's great between us, but for the league, they don't care about us. And that's not just baseball. Football's the same way, right? Basketball, they all want the younger generation. They want those fans. They don't want us, because number one, they know we're not going anywhere. And number two, they just don't care about us.
Well, just look how they're making us jump through hoops to find a game.
Right. That's a whole other issue. Unfortunately, that ain't going away either. So
no, but I think that'll get streamlined.
I hope so.
I think maybe as a result of the CBA, I don't know, but it's a mess, and it's got, they got to deal with it.
Agreed.
It's all money, Look at the money. It's the Mets still actually have like 22 free games on WPIX, which we know forever was the Yankee station. But you got to pay to watch now. You have to pay. That's the way it is. And
it is what it is.
It's crazy. Is the game on Apple tonight? Is it on Peacock? Is it on Prime? It's crazy.
That's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow the game is going to be on Apple.
Yeah.
If you don't have Apple, you don't be on the old radio with the antenna and listening to it, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And I don't know if I do have Apple. I've gone back and forth with streaming services, so
I
have to figure that out when the time comes. I found my notes finally on the Mets pitchers. They're in the top 10 in ERA, FIP, F4, K rate, and outs against opposite average against about whatever, what I mean. So what we have on the other side are a few, at least, Yankee hitters who are hitting well, and so I think that we have a good matchup as far as the pitching. What the Mets can do against the Yankees. What success do you think they'll have against at least the top of our order? I know what they'll do at the bottom probably, but
the Mets pitchers, well, I think it's going to be a good series because of the kids. It's going to be at Citi Field. It's going to be crazy. And Ewing, I just think those kids are going to really enjoy themselves. Now the Mets pitching has been really good, but that's because the Mets have been losing a lot of games 2-1, and they've been shut out a lot too. The Yankees, if you asked me 3 days ago, I would say, oh man, are the Yankees going to sweep the Mets?
I know.
But right now, right now I think they're gonna be fun games. I'm hoping after what I saw the Mets do, and it's only 3 games against Detroit. Hopefully these kids are into it and we have a good game. I mean, the Yankees bullpen is a little shaky. Your bullpen's a little shaky. So it's gonna be a good series, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too, because the Mets do have good pitching, right? And you got Clay Holmes. Tomorrow night's gonna be a great matchup. Rob mentioned it earlier to me, but Cam Schlittler versus Clay Holmes. That's a great matchup.
Clay Holmes. I mean, suddenly
he's been
Clay
pitching great.
Holmes. Yeah. And I saw an article. Suddenly the Mets are trading Clay Holmes to everybody. The Cubs, they're trading Clay Holmes to the Cubs. They're trading Clay Holmes here. But I mean, I think the Mets plan to rebound and not trade away out there.
Yeah, there's still time. There's still time before we start talking about trades. So I think another month. Usually, you know what? Usually when teams get to Memorial Day, they have a better idea of who, exactly what direction they're going in, or at least, have an idea of where they're going. It may not be exactly, by Memorial Day, if it's still iffy, they'll say, all right, let's give it 2 more weeks. Let's see where we are. And then middle of June, then you start saying, okay, we're selling or we're buying or whatever. Right. So I still think there's time for them to straighten this out. And we talk about it on the show. If you get to 500 by August 1st, right? If you're at 500 in August, you're in the playoff race, right? With that extra wild card, if you win 83, 84 games, you got a shot at the wild card. You got a shot at getting into the playoffs. And that's all that matters to these teams now. Just get to the playoffs. Last year, the Reds made it. They won 83 games thanks to the Mets. They got in with 83 wins. So can that happen this year? Why not?
God. Well, can I give you guys just one stat between the Yankees and the Mets and tell me how quickly we think that this could change? And this is run differential, for example. The Yankees have a plus 69 run differential and the Mets have a minus 22. How quickly could the Mets erase that?
Hopefully a couple of weeks. Let's see how Ewing.
I'm not kind of new to stats and analyzing them, but I mean, is that something that they're going to be able to overcome?
I don't think they're going to continue this badly. No, I mean, their injuries. I mean, key players are going to be out for a while. So, like I said, it's all up to what these kids could do. Benj, Ewing. Yeah. With Soto there, if these kids are hitting and Soto's hitting, it'll turn around. Simeon looks like he's turning around a little. So, they're not it just can't stay this way. I can't see the Mets just continuing this, but they got to get healthy. It's ridiculous what's going on.
Oh, I mean, when I look at the injury list and then I look at Lindor left calf strain, what do you think about that?
Well, I think he's probably not coming back till probably late June.
Isn't that the infamous strain that Stanton gets every year? The calf
hopefully
strain?
Not. Hopefully not. No, Lindor can still run, so that's good. And
okay. Lindor he doesn't have glass legs.
No. He's usually pretty good with.
Is there a Lindor Soto problem in the Mets clubhouse?
You know what? I don't know. You hear so many different stories now coming out. Now there's more stories coming out from the guys who got traded, and Noah Syndergaard all of a sudden is talking about
blurting out things today.
But unless you're in there, who knows? We've had guests on our show who know Lindor, okay? And I'll just say Mickey Callaway. He was the pitching coach with the Indians when Lindor played for the Indians. He said the guy, Lindor, was nothing but great, always smiling. Everyone loved him.
Okay.
And, I don't know how it is with him and Soto. I just think Soto is just a quiet guy. Like Chris said, I don't think Soto, I think Soto comes, does his business and that's it. And he wants to go home.
I think so too.
He just wants to play baseball. I think Juan Soto. He don't care about your politics or all that other garbage. You know what I mean?
He don't care about you.
Baseball. Yeah, he doesn't, and that's fine, and that's the way it should be. You should be there. It's a business. As much as it's a team and it's baseball. It's baseball. At the end of the day, it's a business. You're getting paid to play baseball. That's it. You don't have to be friends outside. You don't have to agree with each other. You just got to agree with each other as players, as teammates. That's it.
I'll give you an example. The Oakland A's in the 70s, in the early 70s, who won 3 world championships right in a row, hated each other. That team did not get along. Okay, it's been documented. They hated each other. Guess what? They still won. You don't have to like each other. You just have to play good baseball. That's it.
Maybe you can even feed on hate.
Maybe some of them do.
I'm
Maybe
sure. Yeah, like there were a lot of teams that didn't like each other,
Yeah,
but they dealt with it, right? I mean, we've
Right.
seen it all the time, and who cares? That's what I'm saying. As long as they want to play ball and they want to win, they have to. If they share the same goal, and that's winning, and that's getting to a World Series and winning that, then it doesn't. Everything else should mean nothing, right? It does
right.
not mean anything. I just like like we all probably played on a team at some point in our life. Did you like every single player on the team? Did you hang out with every single player in the team? Not really. So, you can coexist on a team with people that maybe you're not the friendliest, but you just deal with it, just like at work, right? You work with a bunch of people, maybe not everyone you like or you get along with, but you deal with it.
So it's not politics, and I don't mean that in the big sense. I mean in just like clubhouse politics. That is tearing up the Mets. It's really just bad play and etc.
Yeah.
And then once they get that straightened out, they're going to be. And Mendoza can handle this. He's going to right the ship.
I don't know. I don't know if he could handle it. Listen, one of the problems is, that Stearns made a team of like shortstops without a first baseman, and a shortstop, Bo Bichette, had to move to third, and everybody's playing first base. And who thought that Bo Bichette was going to start off this bad? I didn't even bring his name up yet. No one thought that he was going to start off this bad. I can't listen. Looking at his past, there's no way he could just keep going at this pace. He's got to get better. He's got to start hitting. So that basically it's like a mishmash of players who never played together. There's no chemistry yet on this team. And maybe bringing these kids up now, and maybe some of these injuries are a blessing in disguise.
Right. I think that's probably true, because I was watching the game today, and Benj and Ewing are very exciting to watch. Yes. I mean, I looked up some of Benj's stats, and I found that he has one of the strongest arms in all of baseball. In the 97th percentile. He's +2 outs against average. He ranks 87th in percent in sprint speed, which helps on both sides of the ball. I mean, they got a fast guy and, a young fast guy all in one fell swoop.
Yeah. And listen, they have some good young players. McLean too. That guy's gonna be an ace. So I'm not worried about the young guys now. Right. I'm just worried about some of these veterans that they have, like Polanco. Who thought how could he think he was going to be a first baseman? And he's injured. So there goes that. So now they got a carousel of first basemen.
And you know what, we mentioned it earlier, like that's bringing up Benj obviously earlier, but Ewing, those guys have added the spark that this team needed, right? You've seen it now in this Detroit series. Now you got the Yankees and the Subway Series, totally different animal. Let's see if the spark is still there, and I think it will be. I really do. I think this is the turnaround for the Mets, and hopefully this stays with them until at least Lindor returns and maybe Polanco returns. When those guys return, you get those guys back in the lineup. Then the lineup gets longer. I know that they've lost Alvarez now for like 2 months or whatever, but you know what? I think this is what they needed. The pitching is there, right? You got 3 really good pitchers, 4, okay, but definitely 3 top pitchers on that team, and the bullpen should be good enough. And they'll be back into it. They're not that far out. It's only May. I know I hate to say to people it's early, but it truly is still early in the season. Good and bad.
The season's gone.
Yeah, it's not there. Like when you start getting into June and you get to July, trust me, if you're at the All-Star break, 15 out of 15 below 500, yeah, then you got a problem, right? But if you keep it somewhat close to 500. By the time you get to the All-Star break or above 500, you're in it. You're in it most of the league.
Well, But however, I did look up the percentage rate was 1.6 chance for the Mets to make it into the World Series, and for the Yankees it was 16%. So there is a long way to go. I mean, the Mets have dug a hole, but let's see if let's talk about the Yankees for a minute. I mean, they started out hot, cold, hot, cold. I mean, what does this team have an identity?
Yeah, their identity is Judge.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
Their identity is Judge and a great starting rotation.
I get it.
Fried might be out, but the rest of the rotation is really good. It's when these guys are healthy, it's arguably the best in baseball, right? I'll just say it that way. Now, their bullpen is a totally different story. Their bullpen is a complete mess right now, right? Hasn't pitched that well lately. And their lineup outside of Judge and Rice, nobody's really hitting in that lineup. They got one hit yesterday by the Baltimore Orioles, right? By a team that's one of the worst pitching teams, right? Yeah. Bradish came in with a 4.8 ERA, and we got one hit off of him. It was ridiculous. You got guys like you got guys like Jazz, who's not hitting well, right? He's batting 203. You got Austin Wells batting 180, 3 home runs and 5 RBIs. That's unacceptable. That you can't have that in a lineup as an everyday guy. Ryan McMahon 196, Grisham 175. At least he's hitting the ball hard, so I think his numbers are going to get better. You just add some of these guys up, and it's just not good.
Right. I looked at the leaderboard, and the Yankees, some of the, at the team positioning, and I was kind of surprised that they're still second in runs, for example. What surprised me? 5th in stolen bases with 40. But they're also second in caught stealing with 14. So there's some success with that, but then they're, shooting themselves in the foot on the other hand. But we've seen their base running abilities. What are you thinking are some of the most important things that the Yankees need to do during this series?
I think, to be honest, offensively, they got to get going offensively. You can't go into even their last 6 losses. They've lost 6 out of the last 8 games. In the 6 games, I think combined, they've scored 11 runs in those 6 games that they've lost.
Yeah.
That has to change. They have to score runs, right? Whatever you got to do. And if you get guys on base, move them over to third and, hit the sac fly, at least tack on a run or 2. That's what you got to do. Especially in close games, and especially when you have the pitching the Yankees have, you know what? 1 or 2 runs could make the difference in a game. Like when you have really good pitching, like the Yankees do, a run or 2 could make a difference, right? So I think that's big with the Yankees, and they just don't do that, right? You get guys up there, and they're looking to get the big hit. They're swinging for the fences. Like Jazz is a total mess right now. Right. He's just totally lost. I mean, they benched him, but I don't know. He definitely needs to be fixed quick. But Austin Wells has done nothing all year. Like I said, 3 home runs and 5 RBIs. I mean, that's ridiculous for your starting catcher. So
Chisholm's terrible.
Yeah,
he's just terrible. And he was batting 5th yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, yeah. I mean, why? There were many decisions, but
yeah. I mean, so they definitely got to figure this out. I mean, I know it was nice that Spencer Jones came up, but okay, now you got to start hitting. Let's see those home runs that you hit down in AAA. I want to see them up here now, right? Because we know Dominguez is going to be out a while, so we're not going to see him. No. Stanton, we got the update today that the calf is getting better, but he's still nowhere near running again or playing. So, this is what we got. There's no excuses. I don't want to hear, this guy's hurt. So you got the guys on the team right now. They got to get going. Offensively, they got to get going. And the bullpen has to pitch more consistently for us to win, right? Like Bednar's got to be better as the closer.
Right.
Duvall's got to be a better setup guy in that 7th, 8th inning, Fernando Cruz, like all these guys just get more consistent and they'll be fine. But we have to see it, and we'll find out this weekend.
And it's going to be interesting to see how Weaver and Williams pitch against the Yankees.
Yes.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about that.
I'm not worried about Holmes, but those two guys, especially Weaver.
Yes. What's your take on the Yankees so far this season? How do you see their dips and their valleys and highs?
We talk about this a lot on the show. It's a long season, so there's always peaks and valleys. And there was a point where I was saying to Chris, man, the way the Red Sox and the Blue Jays are playing, the Yankees are going to run away with this division.
I know.
That's what the way they
that
were
was
playing.
Just a day or two ago.
But it's, peaks and valleys. The Yankees are going to be all right. They're always going to hit. I think Jazz is a problem.
Jazz is a problem. Yeah.
That. Oh, he swings for the fences all the time. This guy,
yeah.
I don't know what's with him, but
I did a little deep digging on Jazz. He's not adjusting. He's not altering his approach or swing when different moments call for it. He's awful at challenging balls and strikes. He looks completely lost. He's overall hitting .201 with a .604 OPS and a 669 OPS plus. That's pathetic. And he's one of the worst qualified hitters. He's struggling against the fastball, which is hard to, he's so on and on, his fast swing rate has dropped, his barrel rate, his metrics have dropped, and he's just a mess. I don't know.
Yep.
High Sox are not going to fix it.
And listen, and Jazz came out right in the offseason. He wanted to go 50-50. So that was probably the worst thing he could say. Like, why set that so? That's a ridiculous goal to reach, right? If he says, "Hey, listen, why can't they just say simple things like, you know what? I don't look at personal goals. I'm just here. I want to help this team win a championship.
Right.
Everything else will fall into place. Like, why can't you just say something simple like that? Why do you say, well, why not go 50-50 this year? Like, that's insane.
That was stupid.
Right. Like, because think about it. If he goes 30-30, which is still really awesome if you could go have a 30-30 season.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, you didn't go 50-50, so you kind of didn't reach your goal. But meanwhile, he had a great season. So why set yourself up for that? It just
they
so
can't
dumb.
help themselves.
Now he won't get nothing. And he's playing for a contract on top of that.
He's playing for a contract, and he's a big I think Jazz is a big personality, obviously. And he's a personality a bit at odds with, I think, what fits in New York. But then, his play last season was welcome. However, the struggling version of Jazz is a lot less comfortable to be around, I think. And when he walked away from reporters the other day, that was, again, everyone's rehashing all these things, but it's just that there's people, there's players, I should say, who come in and they take on the Yankee mantle, and that becomes their personality, and then they kind of don't have to have one, like DJ LeMahieu. He never had to have a personality. He just put on the pinstripes, and then I think a lot of people just put on the pinstripes. But for Jazz, he's big. He's bigger than that. And pride comes before a fall, and that's never truer than in baseball, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but to make it to predict a 50-50 season, if you're, first of all, do it one time before you predict.
Right.
If you
Yes.
did it, then okay.
Right. Yeah, maybe I'll do it again. Right.
Yeah, I mean, his heart. Here we go. His barrel rate is in 2025 was 15% in the 91st percentile. In 2026, it's 6% barrel rate in the 31st percentile. He's just not hitting anything. And when he does, it's soft contact,
Yeah, and you know what? With all those stats they have now, I just hit the ball. I don't care
Right.
about that,
I
right,
know.
Chris?
Right.
Yep. You know what's funny about stats though? I'm terrible at math, but I love stats because I can look at them and they're like a complete number. It's like, oh, I understand 201. And then I can understand. I don't like it. Doesn't take a lot of complicated math for me to understand what I need to understand in baseball. Luckily, that's been true for fans for a long time. That even a dumbass like me can figure it out. But I got another question for you guys. In this week, is the captain leading? Is Judge leading? The one thing about the Mets is they feel kind of rudderless at the moment. They don't have, I mean, who's at the helm of the Mets? Well, you never have to guess over on the Yankee side because that's always pretty well handled by Judge. So is he leading to your satisfaction to this point in the season?
I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of years, I would say to me, he wasn't the greatest captain around, right? Because when it gets to the playoffs, not just him, but the entire team kind of takes a step back. Like we've seen that. So I don't know if to me, it's not just one leader. You need more than one leader on a team, right? You need, okay, the captain, that's great. Just like with the Yankees, Derek Jeter was the captain, but there were many leaders on on those teams, right? You had Tino, you had Cone, you had Jorge, right? You had all these guys that were there that were leaders as well. So it wasn't just one guy. Yeah, one guy was the captain.
I sometimes wonder if Jorge Posada didn't really secretly run that whole team.
He was one of them, Tino also, Cone, all those guys had like Cone he was the guy that used to take all the media after the game, right? They knew, like the media knew to go to Cone for the questions, on certain things. All right, Cone's going to give us answers, right? So they go there and he give them what they wanted. So, yeah, I think Judge is fine, but I wish somebody else would step up. I'm sure Goldschmidt is a leader in the clubhouse, right? Because he's been around so long, they probably look up to him. But I would hope other guys could step up somehow. Maybe Ben Rice can eventually, he'll be that guy. But we'll see. Cole, I'm sure, is the leader of the pitching staff. He's probably the guy. He's probably like a player / coach now, anyway. But yeah, I think he's done a good job. The reason why you don't see one guy on the Mets is because they've never named a captain. So, and the owner came out. There'll never be a captain as long as I'm owner. All right, that's great, but you still need leaders of your team. So we'll see who comes up. And it's a kind of a brand new team this year too.
Right.
You got a lot of new faces. So I think by the end of the year or even by midway, you'll see more guys kind of come to the front as the leaders of that team.
And it really should be Lindor, right? It should be Lindor. But you're right. There's so many new faces on this team. They got rid of that core, and getting rid of Nimmo, Alonso, Diaz. Well, Diaz, look what happened to him. So it's like no one knew that. Maybe the Mets knew something was up with that arm. I don't know. That I don't know about. But they're just all new playing together. And plus the contracts, like Bo Bichette, he could opt out after this season. So who knows what he's going to do.
Or he could opt in, right?
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. I mean, if this continues, he may probably want to opt in because he needs to have a better year next season if they play a full season or whatever they do, because that's another question. We don't know what's going on next season.
Right.
But
That's right.
Lindor really should step up as a leader, and we have to see what happens. These guys are everyone's just thrown together. It's just new, so we'll see.
Well, I think Judge has really done a kick-ass job. It could have devolved into the usual chaotic Yankee swoon, that we see often in June, where no one, things seem to kind of no one hits. There's sort of a lull over the clubhouse, and during that time, the Judge keeps hitting. The Yankees continue to lead in some category, most offensive categories, thanks to early efforts of Ben Rice, who I think will maybe regain some of his steam here soon. But I wanted to just make a note that on Sunday in Milwaukee, Judge tied Harold Baines with 384 career home runs for 69th on the all-time home run list. And he passed Hall of Famer Larry Walker. And I loved Larry Walker. So that was a milestone. Yeah, just that the Walker was and wasn't Walker one of those ones that was really tough to get into the Hall of Fame?
He didn't get in right away.
Yeah,
he didn't get in right away. People really kind of fought for that. So the Judge is hitting at he's hitting his home runs. He could break the record for seasons hitting 50 plus home runs this year, passing Ruth, McGuire, Sosa, just all of them. So just want to shout out the Judge. I can't help myself. I'm a Judge fan, and I see that during this time, where we've got, on the other hand, Volpe stuff, which we can get to. But I just wanted to mention some good stuff too. And also Ben Rice. There aren't enough adjectives for what I could say about Ben Rice, but I'll leave Ben to you if you want to tackle Ben.
Yeah, no, listen, he's added on to what he was doing last season, right? Last season, he started coming out, and you know what? And the team believed in him that he could take this next step. And so far, he has taken the next step as this elite hitter. Can he, is he going to hit 300 for the season? I don't know about 300, but definitely high 200s. And I could see him going over 30, 40 home runs for the season and, playing. And he's played so far a solid first base. And you would hope that he's only going to get better, right? You got Goldschmidt, who was also a Gold Glove first baseman during his career. So I'm sure he's mentoring him at first base and probably teaching him some stuff as well.
I hope to God he is.
Yeah. So I
nobody else is going to teach him anything over there.
Well, they do have coaches, so yeah. But no, I understand. But yeah, I think, listen, he's definitely taken that step up, and he's doing great. And I don't think the Yankees scouts and all that get enough credit. They picked him up in the 9th round, 10th round, right? Out of Harvard, or right, he went to one of the Ivy League schools, and they picked him up, drafted him, and the guys, the kids come out of nowhere, and now he's this. He's the left-handed Judge right now, right? He's the left-handed complement to Judge. So right. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, he's an exciting young player. I love watching the guy play, and we talked about this on
weekend.
Our show. Except for this weekend. But we talked about this a lot on our show, how exciting Ben Rice is. Hopefully he goes into a slump for the next 3 games, and then he gets to hit again after that.
Oh, that's funny. Ben Rice is a surprise. On the other hand, tell me what, Rob, you start. Spencer Jones.
Well, we talked about this too. He's gotta start hitting, right? That's it. He's gotta start hitting.
I know. Yeah. We were all like, wow, Spencer Jones is coming to save us.
And listen, you can't put that type of pressure on these kids. You know, that some guys could handle. It looks like right now so far, AJ Ewing, nothing's affecting that kid. That's that's 1 in 100. A lot of these young kids, they come up here and they say he's going to be the next. Look at Volpe, the next Jeter, right?
Right.
Look what happened. What a mess he is. It's a mess.
What they want is the next Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's trying to get, right?
Yeah, another great trade by the New York Mets, by the way.
Yeah,
and listen, I think with Volpe too, right? Like right now, Volpe's in a really bad spot, right? Because he's not the starter at shortstop anymore, right? Once Caballero comes back, he's going to go back to starting shortstop. So he's not the starter now. He's not the starter of the future because Lombard is coming really fast, right? We're probably going to see him by the end of the season. So where does that leave Volpe? Volpe is kind of in limbo now. So I think, to be honest, he's a guy that needs to, he needs a change of scenery right now. Like
I think so too.
And you know what? He's not that bad. I mean, we've seen him have a really good rookie year, right? And he hit really well in the playoffs and in the World Series. Remember, he had a grand slam in the World Series. People forget he did that against the Dodgers. Last year, he played basically the whole season, hurt the shoulder, whatever. That had to hinder him. You don't go from playing really good as a rookie to that, right? So I think he just needs a change of scenery, go somewhere else, and I think he'll be fine. I don't think, listen, to compare him to Jeter was the stupidest thing people could do, right? This is only one Derek Jeter. I mean, that's like a Met fan comparing, McClain to Tom Seaver. He's never going to be Tom Seaver. He might be a really good pitcher. He might even be a Hall of Fame pitcher by the time he's done, but he ain't going to be Tom Seaver. Those days are done, right? We're not going to see that player anymore.
Well, you know what, Chris, and the Yankees did that. Also, they did that to Bobby Mercer, calling him the next Mickey Mantle.
Right, exactly. It's stupid. It's really stupid to do that.
They they Yankeefied Volpe, just like they've done a number of players recently. Oswald Peraza, who's hitting the cover off the ball for the Angels right now, and but Volpe, he was not raking. He didn't deserve the promotion. First of all, he was not raking in AAA, but there was a guy down there who was, and I was wondering why not bring up, while Caballero's hurt, why not bring up this Marco Luciano, who's only 24. I know he's bounced around all over the place, but he was the number 2 overall pick by the Giants back in the day. He was he had 10 home runs and down in Somerset and was hitting 327. He was just promoted a couple days ago, so no, too small a sample size. AAA.
And he's not a shortstop. He's not really that good in the fields. They moved him to second.
No, but if he hits, maybe.
Yeah, but where are you going to put him? Right? Where are you going to put him?
Yeah. So you couldn't put him at short?
I don't think so. He hasn't played short this year. He came up as a shortstop, but I just don't think he was that good, and that's why he was a top draft choice.
I know.
By the Giants a few years ago.
Right.
He was in their farm system, and then they cut him loose. He bumped around a little bit this offseason. He was on like 2 teams before he landed with the Yankees, but the bat is there now. So obviously they've unlocked something with him offensively. So I would like to see him up, but again, where are you going to put him in? That's
well, here's another question then. And this is a big if Volpe would happen to perform, which he's not probably going to, could he go to second base? Could you put Volpe at second? Could you then put somebody else at short? I mean, Caballero, even when he comes back. But I mean, you got to do something with Volpe because he's not going to go away.
I don't know what they're going to do when in the 10 days. I guess they could send him back down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, I don't know if they're going to move him to second because then what are you going to do with Jazz?
Well, Jazz, what the hell? Send him to the sun.
I'm totally with you on that one, but I don't know. Maybe in 10 days, maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they're working on a trade, and they're working on someone like, listen, in 10 days, we're going to bring Caballero back up and we can move Jazz. So maybe they're talking to other teams and they're going to move him. That's a possibility. I don't know if they will, but that's a good possibility. Sure.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think Jazz has got to go. I don't think he doesn't fit in with the Yankees. He really doesn't. So I think if they could get rid of him, they would.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think they might. They really might. Even if he starts to hit, maybe at that point, then his value comes up a little bit. Excuse me. Then they could probably trade him. And that's going to be it, because they're not going to sign him at the end of the year. They're not giving him an extension when he becomes a free agent. That's out, right? Yeah. So if they could trade him and get something that they need for him, and then, like you just mentioned, bring up Luciano, or later on, if Lombard is hitting down in AAA, they'll bring him up at some point. So there's options. So yeah, I don't think trading Jazz is like some crazy thought. That I could see happening for sure.
Yeah. Predictions. What do you think's going to happen this weekend?
Go ahead, Chris. Go first.
All right. So I'm going to try to be positive. I'm going to say we're going to win 2 out of 3. Friday night, we got Schlittler going. I think he outduels Holmes. Tight game. We'll win that one. Saturday is so far it looks to be determined for the Mets against Rodon.
Right.
So that might be a messy game. So let's give that one to the Mets, and then we'll come back and win Sunday's game, because we got Weathers, who pitched great against Baltimore. He looked really good. I know Freddie Peralta is going for the Mets, so that should be another good pitching matchup. But I'll say the Yankees will pull that one out. So we'll win 2 out of 3.
And you know what? I would have, a couple of days ago, I would have said, oh, man, like I said before, are they going to get swept? Maybe what? I'm going to be positive for the first time since opening day.
Go for it.
And I'm going to say that the Mets take 2 out of 3 because it's at Citi Field. I like the pitching matchups, and I think Soto is going to have a good series, DHing. And I think Ewing and Benj, I think they're going to be into it. So I'm going to say 2 out of 3 for the Mets. And like I said, the first time all year that I've been positive since opening day.
Well, I think that it's going to be the usual 3-ring circus, perhaps. Although I do think we're going to get some good pitching matchups. But once we get to beyond our starting pitching, it's a free-for-all. So we'll see what happens. Yankees could definitely come out of there too. We're not going to sweep the series. There's no way we're going to do that. Consistency is not our strong point right now. Let's just put it that way. But I have high hopes that we can go into Citi Field and at least be the victors. And I want to thank my guests, Chris and Rob, for joining me this evening. You guys are so much fun to have on. Thanks so much. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, share this out, join us in the chat. And as always, wear your pinstripes with pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.